Hi everybody, today we're going to be doing an office declutter. This is an overview of my office. I have like a gallery wall and I have these shelves that are supposed to be for like a child's bookshelf. Looks pretty nice. I keep an extra fan in here, but then there's chaos. We're going to be decluttering all this mess. Hi everybody, we're in my craft room / office, and I used to craft a lot. When I was a newlywed, I used to knit in the winter and then paint in the summer, and I actually used to take classes. It was really fun, and then life happened. Sick parent, wrote a book, and so I don't craft anymore. So I'll show you some pictures of my progress in my minimalism journey with crafting, because I think a lot of people struggle with crafting. It's a big part of their identity. Like, oh, what do you do? I'm a knitter. What do you do? I'm a sewer. I quilt. And shout out to all the people who made masks. I have several parents of my pediatric patients who said that they no longer quilt, but they made hundreds and thousands of masks for people like me. So thank you, everybody. So this used to be a craft room, and any yarn I didn't use in a project, I just donated to my yarning buddies. Any paints I left at my parents' house because that would be an incentive for us to do things as a family. Like, I'd go to a park, set up my easel and paint, and my parents would do whatever parents do of grown children. Then life changed. So parent got sick, I wrote a book, work life changed, the pandemic happened, the dog got cancer, and this room just became the room where I didn't want to deal with things. So we're going to do hacks of adulthood as well. So here's the first one. Identify your barrier to entry, or if you're a chemist, your activation energy. What is it that's really stopping you? And if it's something like what I'm dealing with and it's tedious, break it down into smaller tasks. Open laptop, open Microsoft Excel, open spreadsheet, enter an item. So that's the first one. Because it's an office, different kind of thought process. So have a little notebook. This is my notebook. It has like a little shaded part, and before the pandemic, when life seemed to be full of activity, it still is, but it's a different kind of full of activity. It's mostly a lot of dishes and walking the dog way too many times, but it was great, and I really like this because it's so simple that I kind of made a hybrid bullet journal, and maybe someday I'll film that for you. So have a notebook, because each of this is a task. Okay, there's a lot going on here. You didn't know my dirty secret, did you? Next, have one of these handy. This is just our recycling. So anything that shouldn't be here isn't. The one thing I keep struggling with my husband is everything needs to have a home. And sometimes it's my own fault. I don't have a home for things. So this is a Color Yourself to Mindfulness coloring book. And I think I bought it for a gift to donate. And because donation centers were closed and I was feeling anxious, I said, you know what, I need that. So I actually started coloring. And obviously now I don't have time. And so that's done. So things like my coloring pencils that double as watercolor pencils, they need to go to their home. Next, home projects. So I'd like for you to comment below and weigh in. Which wallpaper should go in the pantry? Orange or green? Sometimes things get delayed because of things out of your control. None of us could have predicted actually we did predict the pandemic. People actually predicted this. But we couldn't have predicted that it would hit so close to home and how long this would last. And to be honest, we can get this under control in 8 weeks if we just all used our intelligence and our compassion, and that's another video. So I'm scared to have a painter come in the house because the numbers are ticking up. Even in states like Michigan, whose governor has gone through great lengths to protect us, our numbers are climbing. So the pantry painting and wallpaper is on hold. Well, I've made so many sketches of things that now these things are on hold, which is too bad. So I'm just gonna go through this and say, look, this isn't happening. Physically touch each and every one of these pieces of paper and decide this isn't gonna happen anytime soon. How do I want to go from here? If you're like me, you have tons of paint samples lying around, like so. And you know what? Throw it away. I make little notes to myself about things like video ideas. I'll be doing dishes and I'll be like, you know what would be great? An idea like that. But we're done. You know, I made the video, I posted it. Go look at my channel. We get reminders from the vet, you know, like please bring your dog in for heartworm test and annuals. Oh wow. Okay, so I need to deal with this. So this goes on the list. Next, you always get things like, please support the Humane Society. And I will. I just haven't gotten around to writing the check and mailing it. So that goes in that pile. So this is something I recommend. Once you submit for things like your taxes, continuing education for your career, this is sad, but it is a part of your reality if you have a pet. I have a drawer right here that all his bills and progress reports and vaccine history go in, but those things expire. For instance, with an animal, it's easy. When they expire, their documents expire. But I actually write myself notes, and it says discard after 10/1/20. And certain sensitive information, I make a special pile to shred. It looks like we were close to getting to that stage in Streamline called All Surfaces Clear. So what you're seeing is a stash of papers that I would like to arrange into this expandable file, and they're all related to the house. There are various levels of clutter. Like, all I did was clear off my desktop, and you saw, you know, what a process that was. Well, you have to take inventory of where your life is at that time. So let me give you an example. When I first started this channel, because I wrote a book and I want the book to be amazing, I read a lot and I do book reviews. So I started making like cue cards to keep track of all the books that I read. Well, it's kind of redundant. I make videos on book reviews, so why do I need to keep cue cards on which books I reviewed? So that obviously is a different stage, and now we're in a different stage. Now we're sort of in the stage of a life more curated. And what I mean by that is things are starting to fall into place because of minimalism. I have less stuff, so things are easier to clean. As we speak, I ran the iRobot upstairs in my office because it was so dusty, I was sneezing, and then I just came down here. But there's not a lot of stuff, so I don't need to vacuum physically. I just let the robot go. When I first got married, you have this fantasy self, and that fantasy self was a person who was going to host all the major holidays, was going to have this house that reflected the lifestyle of travel and fun and adventure. Cut to 12 years later, my idea of a good time is going to Home Depot. Things change, and we're not going anywhere. Australia, not happening. Miami, definitely not happening. So my new lifestyle is all about living a life more curated and meeting goals. Get the book published, get health stuff straightened out, write for my column that I write for, be amazing at work, increase productivity, show better care, think outside the box. It has nothing to do with being a hostess anymore. So what I have, and that things didn't have a home, is what you're seeing in front of you. I found this expandable file folder, and I highly recommend it. I'm not a gadget person, but sometimes you need it. So the first thing I'm going to do is see how much it can expand. So it can accommodate things, and we're not going to go crazy. We're not going to alphabetize and all of that. This is just, what you're thinking about something and you need to put it in a home because you will reference it later. That's what this is for. This is still almost surface level decluttering. One of the last things to do, I think, if you're a homeowner, because it's so expensive, is blinds. I don't know if anyone else feels that way, but you can drop a small fortune in blinds. And what I suggest to you if you're a new homeowner is wait a while. Live in your house for about a year, maybe 3, and put up paper blinds. Yes, it looks tacky, but who cares? I won't judge you, and our audience is kind, and they won't either. But the reason why blinds are important is our house is south facing, and the sun is so strong it's bleaching our hardwood and destroying the fabric that's in curtains. So we do have to make that investment into blinds. So here's what I have. This is the blinds that we are thinking about investing in. Comment below which you like, gray or off-white. And we've made sketches. This is hard to appreciate on camera. We've gotten quotes from various hardware stores, and there's even more different kinds of blinds. So that's going to go in here. I recently did the chair audit, and you can see it in the man cave reset. We hosted a Christmas party, and we pushed everybody down into the basement, which is man land. It has like a pool table and off-season patio furniture that I did really nicely. But I did a chair audit, and I came up with some obscene number like 38, 42, 51. Really high number of chairs for 2 people. So that's a lot of chairs, and we sold our dining room chairs, and we've been using patio chairs in the interim. And we found these really beautiful chairs. Again, don't know if you can see this on camera, but they need to be ordered, and it takes 6 weeks, and then someone has to come in to our home and put it together. And my worry is the coronavirus. So that is on hold, but it is a project that's happening. So after blinds, I have chairs. Next up is fabric. As many of you know, we have a dog, and he has been given 6 months to live, and we hope he'll stick around for 6 months. We hope for 2 years, but reality is reality, and I don't control that. And I predict if we don't adopt another dog soon, we never will, because life is busy. Now, we had to reupholster because our pit bull and Spot, one day we accidentally forgot to crate them and lock the crate, and they went to town on our sofa cushion. So God forbid the next dog is destructive, which I predict it will be. I have a fabric swatch. So if you've ever reupholstered a piece of furniture, save the swatches because you never know. So we have blinds, chairs, and fabric. Finally, there is a book that's called What Color is Your Parachute? It's used by guidance counselors in high school to teach children what their aptitude is and what careers they would be best suited for. I discovered a book called What Color is Your Slipcover? And it teaches you like what is your real sensibility. I don't mean are you bohemian chic, traditional, French country. I don't mean like that. I mean like really deep down. So as many of you know, I'm from the coast and I miss the ocean terribly. So I like not beachy stuff. I don't want shells in the house. I don't want sand in bottles. But I miss that nautical Cape Cod, North Atlantic, moody, foggy grays and blues and the greens of like the pine forest. That's sort of my sensibility. There's actually workbooks in this book, and I went through each room, the mood, the dominant color, the secondary color, so it actually makes you think through things. Obviously we don't need this, but I'm hanging on to it just so, let's say we sell the house and the buyers are like, that's a beautiful color, but the movers went and chipped the paint. Please tell us what color. It's right here. So 20 years from now when we're ready to sell this house, this will be there. And my husband's very organized. I wasn't in the picture when the house was being built. So he actually has taken pictures of walls while the framing went up. So he knows that right behind here, he knows that there is a vent and not to put holes. So if you were wondering, how come her artwork's on one side and there's nothing over here? Because I learned the hard way. That's what happened. So I don't know if you consider this clutter. Maybe it is, but for now, these paint swatches are staying here. And this, I'm going to call it my home binder for now, but it doesn't need to be. This can just be, you know, works in progress. So this is pretty versatile, and I highly recommend that you get one. So I hope that helped, and let's see what else I got planned for you. So this is my crafting corner. If that shelf looks familiar, it's because you probably saw it in a craft store and I bought it from Craigslist. On the very top shelf, which is almost unreachable, are yarn crafts. Each box represents one project, so there's at least 6 I consolidated. The other boxes hold needles and books and more yarn. The second shelf is sentimental stuff like wedding cards and camera equipment. The third shelf looks messy, but the reason why it's messy is because camera equipment is very expensive and I don't want anything to happen to delicate things like lenses. So I keep them in their original packaging, and it shares a shelf with sewing notions. I have a notebook collection that needs to be decluttered, but I'm not there yet because when you're getting to that level of decluttering, you have to have the emotional bandwidth, and during a pandemic, I do not. In here are some miscellaneous stationery like extra pens and staples and paper clips, a stray yarn bowl, and a box of fabric. I highly recommend people keep remnants of fabric because when you go to buy paint, you can take a remnant of your drapes and your house looks better coordinated. Down here are my paint supplies, so you can see brushes. That tall candy box has more brushes and my paints. This is current yarn projects that I'm working on, and the reason why it's on a low shelf is for easy accessibility. And this is all my sketchbooks where I practice calligraphy. And that, everybody, is my crafting closet. So this was not an easy project, but I think it was needed to show that even us minimalists can have hobbies, and when the day is done, you just close the door and no one will know. So thank you everybody for sharing with me in the yarn decluttering and the decluttering of my craft room. I really appreciate you staying with me for this long, and I hope to see you in the next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye for now.